Hello everyone, this is Dr. Z from MAR Resident with another episode of the Residency application components. And in today's episode, I'll be discussing the letters of recommendation. As you know, the letters of recommendation are one of the most important documents in your residency application. Yet we do have a lot of questions from candidates asking us, if I do have only 2 letters, specifically due to the COVID-19 pandemic, can I apply with only 2 letters of recommendations? Now we know that most programs require 3 letters and some require 4. But applying with 2 letters of recommendations is risky. And I tell you why it's risky this year. The reason for that is the clinical rotation, specifically the core clinical clerkships, should have been completed already if you're applying for residency. Remember, the COVID-19 happened in March, and you should have already completed the core rotations by now for you to be missing any clinical rotations in the core rotations and obtain a lot of recommendations through that rotation. Now, if you're applying to a specialty that is not a core rotation and you're doing your electives now, and that prevented you from obtaining a letter of recommendation from, let's say, anesthesiology, then I know that a lot of candidates nowadays are doing the clinical rotations virtually, and maybe they obtain a virtual recommendation letter as well. Now, the programs can understand 2 physical letters from your core rotations and 1 from your electives because you're applying for a non-core specialty. And therefore, a clinical rotation that is virtual and produced letter recommendation virtually could be accepted. Now, a missing letter could be detrimental to your application, and not every program can forgive that missing component. Therefore, you're taking a risk applying with only 2 letters of recommendations. Now, the other question we received is for candidates who have 4 letters of recommendations, and they know that most programs are requiring 3 letters of recommendation, and yet they want to apply with 4 letters. Now, the only exception to applying with 4 letters when the program requires 3 is when you know for a fact that every letter of recommendation you have is a strong letter. And it's kind of difficult to know the content of every letter, especially if you have waived the right to see it. But if for any reason, if you have been provided with a letter recommendation and you know the content of that letter recommendation and you know for a fact that all 4 letters are good, then I don't see any problem for you to select 4 letters to assign to a program when they only require 3. The only problem I have is for candidates who are not sure about even one LOR that could be a weak LOR and applying to with 4 LORs when they only require 3, then this could be a problem. And let me explain that. When the program prints your application to read your application, and they are only expecting 3, and you're sending 4, the program could be selecting the 3 letters and leave a 4th letter in the stack, and therefore that 4th letter could be the strongest letter in the application you have, and therefore you're taking a risk that the program is going to read 3 and not read one of the most important document or LOR you have in the stack. And therefore, if you aren't sure 100% about your LORs being strong, then only apply with 3 LORs if the program requires 3. Send 4 LORs only if the program requires 4 LORs. Now, MAR Resident, we are extremely careful with the letter recommendation question. Every program we communicate with annually to update our system, we ask them if they have any unique letter of recommendation requirements. And therefore, if the program have requirements in terms of the number of LORs, you will see that in the additional comments section. And also, if the program requires a letter from a unique person or personnel, also we point this out in the additional comments section. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask us. You can email us or call us, and we'll be happy to assist you. Thank you.